Hey you. Yeah, you. Do you like the classics? Do you like nostalgia? Do you think about the good old days? That's good, man. That's real good. Because today, I will be your nostalgia merchant in the second edition of the greatest Skyrim mods of all time here at Nox's library. We're looking at oldies today that remain goldies and stalwarts of many a mod list, even in 2026. Now, you should note that a lot of these mods were originally designed for Legendary Edition, or I guess just the OG Skyrim, and even predate the Special Edition released in 2016, making some of them over 10 years old now. Wow, that kinda hurt to say. Still, we don't discriminate here, and what better way to get started than to look at the follower mod that started it all, Vilja.
Have you by any chance seen a huge drunk Nord and a filthy little wood elf bastard?
When we're talking about classics, it doesn't really get much more classic than Vilja. In many ways, she's sort of the first custom voiced Elder Scrolls follower mod. And yes, I mean Elder Scrolls, not Skyrim, since Vilja actually appeared as an Oblivion mod all the way back in 2009. She got ported into Skyrim, then Special Edition, and has been translated into all these languages. She comes with her own unique bard songs too, a questline, and considering that Oblivion doesn't really have companions, other than this chud, it's amazing to see what Vilja has become in Skyrim. Fitting with the Nordic theme of Skyrim, she is characteristically Swedish, from her accent to the description on her mod page. She's charming and was one of the first mods to show what community-made followers could be in Elder Scrolls games, and the current follower mod scene owes a lot to Vilja. She hasn't been worked on since 2017, roughly a year after a special edition file was uploaded to Nexus, and she is admittedly a little outdated now, almost 10 years later, but she has many mechanical improvements over vanilla followers. She has a disposition system, you can spar with her, she reacts to quests, interacts with vanilla followers, and much more. Granted, Vilja in Oblivion isn't the same woman we see in Skyrim, being her great-great-granddaughter. You might need a couple more greats there, and she even got File of the Month back in November 2012, which, to put into perspective how long ago this was a month before the release of the Dragonborn DLC. So yeah, I really wasn't joking about classics when we're talking about Vilja. Still, she does have quite a modern feature in that she can interact with other modded followers, which includes the next mod on today's list, the famous Inigo the Brave.
Now for my next trick, I will juggle my fleas. Maybe not, they would never let me hear the end of it.
I have done a full video on Inigo alone, you can check that out here, and there is an argument to be made that he is the most impactful follower mod ever created. He was the bar that everyone had to reach for, and has become such a big name on Nexus that even Todd Howard has heard of him. I mean, he calls him the Khajiit follower mod, but we all know he's talking about Inigo.
There's some great things with, like, I love the Khajiit follower mod for Skyrim. It's awesome.
Now this is largely for two reasons. One was for his features, which for a 2013 follower were immense. He can judge you based on your skills and behaviour, interact with vanilla followers, which even gives them more personality, such as making Lydia a bit of an airhead, comments on quests and NPCs running about, and will eat any sweet roll you put in his inventory. He'll also sing, read you stories, and has a deep backstory to uncover, and a configurable combat style, depending on how you want Inigo to fight. Even in 2026, he more than keeps up with modern follower mods, like the ones I mentioned in Volume 1 of the series, from a mechanical standpoint, but this isn't what makes Inigo so good, even a decade later. No, what makes Inigo such a great companion is his charm. He is one of the most unique characters you'll meet in, well, anything. He's simultaneously a wacky fool, a dangerously competent warrior, a free spirit, a once tortured soul, and a lover of song, all at once. As a result, he's an extremely multifaceted character, especially by Bethesda standards, able to balance some genuinely heartbreaking dialogue with wacky conspiracies and a strange obsession with squishing spiders. I never really worked that one out. Since he's a Khajiit that isn't of elsewhere, and I'll leave it there in case of spoilers, he doesn't talk like other catfolk we see in Skyrim, and his quest is quite an interesting exploration into his backstory. But here's the tragic aspect of Inigo. Even after all this time, and damn has it been a long time, Inigo's story remains incomplete, and the modding community is waiting for a version 3.0 that likely won't come out. Smart Blue Cat, the creator behind Inigo, has yet to officially cancel the project from what I know. However, there are also no promises that the project will ever be delivered. Now granted, Smart Blue Cat has no obligation to actually finish Inigo. It's obviously not a full-time job, and you can also just assume that one of the driving force characters behind Inigo's backstory, who again I won't mention because of spoilers, is just a raving loony and you can carry on your day. It also doesn't stop Inigo from being highly recommended, and if you do want to bring this ultraviolet feline into your game, I also recommend adding his best friend too. The self-proclaimed milk drinker, man this guy has self-esteem issues, Lucien Flavius.
Skyrim's no place for a milk drinker like me. Not on my own anyway, so I'm looking for someone to travel with.
Lucien Flavius is unique in that he's... Okay, let me explain. The draw of Lucien is that he isn't the typical adventuring type. Not really being a great warrior, mage, rogue, or anything involving combat. He's a scholarly type, who spends most of his life in libraries rather than out on the road, but he's always dreamed of exploring Tamriel. Mainly it's Dwemer ruins, and thus this leads him to you, someone who can both protect and shape him. That's right, Lucien has the unique, or at least at the time unique, feature of being trainable, and thus you can turn him into basically what you want. You can develop him into a powerful mage, a muscle-bound warrior, or a deft archer. It won't change how delightfully nerdy he is either, being a great source of lore, and the neat thing about him is that he isn't some guy forced onto the road because of tragedy. No, he's exploring Skyrim for the love of it, and this wholesome positive energy basically makes him Skyrim Nexus's cinnamon roll. Or I guess sweet roll. Do they have cinnamon in Elder Scrolls? Enough of that, let's get back on track. He's got quite an extensive questline too, with an impressive if unstable dungeon to explore near its conclusion. As I mentioned before, Lucien is basically Inigo's best friend, and the pair interact so extensively that they feel as though they were designed to work together, singing songs, telling jokes, and skipping across Skyrim like two peas in a pod. Inigo will even interact with Lucien's quest, and while this chemistry, along with the last Dragonborn's silent disposition, can sometimes make you feel like a third wheel, this level of interaction is nice to experience, making adventures feel more lively. It's especially neat to see two mods as old as Lucien and Inigo interact as heavily as modern followers do, and there's a reason why Mr. Flavius has been in many mod lists for over a decade. Now that A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms is out, he can kind of be the egg to your dunk. What would that make Inigo? Thunder? No, probably Raymond. That cat is ride or die. But if you're sick of adding people one by one and looking to add a bunch of NPCs at once, there really isn't a better option out there than our next classic. Interesting NPCs.
When dawn kissed the ocean from the golden night came.
If you're sick of seeing the same faces in Skyrim and want to populate the country with more voices, you need not look further than interesting NPCs. and while it was released for Legendary Edition way back when, it still has a place in many a mod list to this day. It adds over 250 fully voiced NPCs, which includes more than 25 followers, 15 more marriageable options, and over 50 quests. It's a bit of an all-in-one mod that adds sheer volume and bulk to your game, but the quality is still there. You might even hear a few familiar voices, like Alassea, a bard voiced by Merrigan, who you might also know as Warabiki, the creator of Ori. I'm also pretty sure that Sophia's VA is in here somewhere too, and this collective effort has led to an NPC edition project that has impressive quality, especially for the early years of Skyrim modding, and a lot of content. My favourite thing from the mod is the music, however, as it adds many bard songs, such as The Wolves of Jorvaska, Aldi the Bear, and Dusk on Anvil Harbour, which you have probably heard from this channel before if you're a returning viewer. If you are, hi, thanks for watching. And you would then probably know that I have a huge soft spot for this mod because of its music. It's really fun stuff, and a lot of the NPCs are magnitudes more interesting than the vanilla characters we get, hence the name, breathing new life into Skyrim. If you haven't tried it yet, then I obviously highly recommend it, but if you're getting to the point where you're sick of people, in Skyrim or otherwise, then I have an adventure for you that is bound to send chills down your spine. Clockwork.
Clockwork Castle sits high in the developing mountains that border Skyrim and Morrowind.
Clockwork feels like it was one of the first horror-style quest mods, and with it being as early as Legendary Edition, it's definitely worthy of being a classic. You travel through a tunnel in the Velothi Mountains, get the ever-loving piss scared out of you by a raid siren, some skeletons, and a ghostly lady, all funfair House of Horror style. It's scarier than it sounds, but to me the real horror is when you get out of the tunnel. Sure, it doesn't seem that way when you end up in a steampunk Clockwork castle, powered by Dwemer automatons, except there's something off about these automatons. The tone then switches from ever-loving piss to a feeling of existential dread as you try to find your way home from this castle, seemingly trapped in time, housing some creepy secrets left behind by the Dwemer. Long story short, there's a reason why this mod is a constant in many mod lists, and if you give it a bit of a boost with some modern lighting, this sense of eeriness really can get to you. Gameplay wise, it doesn't add too much, but that's what you'll get from these more classic mods. The atmosphere is where Clockwork shines, and the only real issue I get with it is that there's an underground section which tends to crash reasonably frequently. This might just be a me issue though, but just bear this in mind. Basically have those quick saves ready. Still, if we're talking about constants in mod lists, I'm pretty sure you won't find many as stalwart as the Static Mesh Improvement mod.
Dear God in heaven, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Also known as SMIM, the Static Mesh Improvement mod is exactly what it says on the tin. Any model that is part of a static actor, essentially anything without bones or a rig, gets an improved model with more polygons so that these meshes don't look dated, and despite being released in 2016, it still looks really good 10 years later, which probably shows you we haven't advanced that much graphically in the last 10 years. Still, SMIM remains a must-have to get your Skyrim looking good, and while I have a bunch of mods around it for some patches and improved textures, just look at some of these models in my game. You've got to admit they look pretty good for a game released in 2011, and if you want to remaster Skyrim, as many of us Scrolls tubers put it, SMIM is a need. It's a pretty big file for a mod clocking in at a gig, but, like, come on, it's 2026, 1 gig is nothing now. I guess it's pretty annoying if you're using free Nexus, but there's a reason why it has 15 million downloads. Still, it won't be the first thing that hits you in-game. And if you're sick of waking up in that carriage on the way to Helgen, have I got a classic for you. Alternate Start live another life.
Approach, my child, and choose where your new life shall begin.
There have been alternate start alternatives, and I'm currently using alternate perspective, but there's a reason why the original remains the most downloaded and why I use it for nearly 10 years. Granted, I couldn't find the original release date, because the Legendary Edition version was removed from Nexus, but I know it was around 2012, making the mod around 14 years old, and it still remains people's preferred way to start a Skyrim playthrough. You start in a cell, talk to a statue of Mara about how you want to start your life, sleep in a bed, and bang, you're in Skyrim. No Helgen tutorial required unless you ask for it. It's quick, clean, easy, and still lets you do the main quest if you can be bothered. It also helps a bit with roleplay, since you aren't locked into being captured when trying to cross the border into Skyrim. And you can also get put on a specific part of the map if that is your wish. You can also go for one of the options that puts you somewhere random, such as the shipwrecked option or being left for dead and so on. There are plenty to choose from being a homeowner to part of a guild, and this even extends to integration with some other mods. An example comes with Legacy of the Dragonborn, and yes, I'll talk about Legacy of the Dragonborn at some point. Everyone and their grandmother mentioned it in the last Goat Mods video, and I promise I'll get to it eventually, just give me a bit of time here. But for now, thank you for joining me on a trip down memory lane. I want you to know that all of these mods are in fact immersive as f***. I miss MXR. But if you still want to watch a bunch of people fighting the good fight, and still making some of the best modding content about the latest and greatest for Skyrim, check out a few of the channels in the description below. They're bigger than me, so I don't know why I'm doing a promotion for them, but I don't know, I sometimes watch these guys. I also don't have a lot of modding content, since I'm mainly a lore guy, so, you know, feel free to knock yourselves out. Either way, thanks for watching. Volume 3 will be sometime between now and the release of the Elder Scrolls 6, so hopefully I'll see you then or in another video. Oh, and the like, subscribe stuff. Do that too, please. Thanks.
When darkness came, you wiped my tears. I remember your hand on mine. Now all I